Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. Guest. Haven't had a guest in a while.
Been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a while. I got sick of talking and listening to each other. So we thought we'd bring in a third voice. I want to figure out a way to get calls, like to have people call into the show. I don't know if that's. I never see that on YouTube, but I've been a radio guy for 15 years, and that's always been a part of the show. Is having call when it's live. This is not live, but we do enough live, like post game shows or something. Have calls.
Man,
you gotta figure that out.
No, man. These guys are gonna come in. I don't know. Look, man, I'm down to do it. I'm just saying, be prepared for some wild stuff.
Those are the only calls I want. I don't want people to be like, all right, I have a 7-point plan on how to fix our run blocking. I'm like, I'm going to murder Josh McDaniels in his sleep. I'm going to burn his house down, salt the earth so nothing grows, kidnap his kid. Like, that's the kind of shit I want. I want over-the-top, irrational callers. I think we can do it.
I think we got plenty of listeners.
Yeah. Maybe we can make that happen. So, curveball next week. Real quick housekeeping. I'll be in China next week. Yeah, that's what I said. So... normally like pulling the pulling the curtain back a little bit. When I'm on the road and like maybe Soto just do your show solo or with the guest or whatever, I can still get it in the back end, edit it, set everything up. China is so like communist isolationist. I don't even know if I have access to YouTube in China.
I doubt it.
I don't even know if I don't think that's possible. So literally, like the UFC sent us an email of like, all right, none of your apps will work. Like Uber, Google Translate, Maps, none of that works because China like just doesn't give a shit. They're like, all right, we're just going to take whatever these American tech companies are and just copy it because we don't care about international copyright law. We're China. We're going to do it our own way. And they just literally just like copy it and put their own name and logo on it. So there's like, all right, here's the version of Uber Eats. Here's the version of MapQuest. Here's the version of like WhatsApp. I don't even know if WhatsApp will work. So I'm going to get a VPN. Hopefully I'll be able to coordinate this and get everything done. But you may have to be flying. You might be flying on your own, Soto. Soto might be solo.
Maybe.
Soto solo. We'll
you remember that show? What was it called? Silicon Valley? When they had that Chinese guy living with them?
Love Silicon Valley. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Chinese guy was living with them, and he had like a freaking whiteboard of all the stuff he was going to do, and it's like Pied Piper China, Google China, like all these different apps that he's going to make in China. That's exactly what they do. It's not bullshit.
Yeah, I just showed my coworker the never seen Silicon Valley ever. The last episode of season 1 when they do the like how long it'll take him to jerk off everybody in the auditorium.
Yeah.
That's some of the best 4 minutes in television ever made. It's hilarious.
It's like, okay, well, yeah, the most efficient way is to get him dick to dick. Yeah. It's just one stroke. You get two strokes in one. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, it's not height, it's dick height. So this is dick height.
And what about stamina? Otherwise, I'm wasting really good strokes on a guy who's already busted. And then like the who's the tall nerdy guy that chimes in? He was in The Office. What's that guy? He was like the like corporate guy.
Yeah, 2 different names. Yeah,
whatever his name was. Like there's like silence, and he chimes in. He's like, "Is girth going to be an issue?" And O'Rourke's like, "Shit, yeah, I think it will."
So good. If you haven't watched the show,
please watch it.
It's on HBO.
It's worth it.
Go watch it. Just the last maybe 10 minutes of the last episode of the first season. It just shows you how these guys' minds work.
It's on hilarious. YouTube. After this show, go look at it. When you're done with this show, go watch that show. Trust me, it's worth your time.
It's worth it.
So the schedule's out. You did because of course the schedule comes out the day our show comes out. So we record on Wednesday nights, and last Wednesday, and the schedule comes out Thursday, of course, because the NFL hates us. So you did a solo show on the schedule release. But I want to ask the question: if you could only attend one game this season for the Raiders, what would it be? That's a question of the day. I have it pinned in the comment section. Very curious what you think. If you could only attend one game this season, which game would it be? And it could be for any reason. You can be like, oh, I want to go to... Oh, that's the wrong one. 2022.
Familiar.
I was like, wait a minute, we're not going back to Nashville. That was my pick last time. It could be anything, right? It could be like, my brother-in-law's a Giants fan and I want to take him. Or like, I think Aiden O'Connell will be starting by week 11 or whatever the hell, right? Whatever your reason is, pick any Raider game, home or away, of the 17 coming up this season. Which one would it be? Soto, let's go first.
I can't bring my mind away from the Christmas Day game.
You want to go on Christmas to Kansas City?
Okay. Yeah. Because it just, look, I've been to Kansas City before when we've won, and that was like before Kansas City was like really good. And I was pretty scared leaving that stadium. And I don't know what's going to happen. I think just the shock, just pure shock that the crowd will be in if they lose to us will give me enough time to slip out of there. Because I ain't saying shit. I'm not saying shit till I'm almost in the Uber.
Pussy.
Fuck that, dude. I could take on one or maybe two guys that are drunk. I'm not taking 3 or 4 guys, dude. That's not going to happen. 3, 4 grown adult men.
Even Adam Hill was willing to take on
it. Adam Hill is a big man.
Yeah.
No, it's just not happening. It's just impossible for you to fight off that many guys unless you're Bruce Leroy.
So here's the schedule. It's kind of crazy how the NFL gave us a week 1 and week 18 bye. That's normally not the case. It's very weird that we get a week 1 and week 18 bye. Oh wait, that's the Broncos. Same thing.
Don't say that, man.
Same thing.
Don't say that.
They're our bitches. They are our bitches.
Don't say that, dude.
I speak only facts. What do you want? I speak only facts.
RJ, what game would you like to go to?
I kind of like this Detroit Monday night game, week 8. I kind of like that.
You want to go to Detroit?
Oh, it has nothing to do with the city. 0% to do with the city.
That's like part of it, though.
It's part of it, but I think it's gonna be a high-scoring game, right? Neither one of our teams play defense. Primetime game. City I've never been to. Cool stadium. And what I'm trying to do, Soto, is end my streak. I swear to God, I think it's 7 Raider games in a row that I've attended. Or the last Raider games I went to, last 7 in a row, we've lost every one of them. I'm trying to. I need a slump buster. You know what I mean? It's like when when you haven't gotten laid for 6 months, you're like that fat chick in accounting. You're like, all right, let me just take this wildebeest down so I can like break this slump and get my confidence back. That's what this Lions game will be. It's our slump buster, so I can go to games guilt free and know that we're not going to lose.
Look, Morgan from accounting is a lovely lady. I will not have you disparage her like that. She's a handsome woman. She's got a lot of good qualities to her. You know what? The more I look at it, that Miami game at Miami is pretty enticing. I had fun.
Awesome.
I went to a Miami game once. The stadium is shit. It's whatever, but the city is badass.
I went to Miami for the very first time when the UFC was there like 3 weeks ago.
God, it's so
fell
fun.
in love with that place.
It's great.
It's awesome. Love it.
It's like nice and wide open. It's just like you can get everywhere easy. Lots of things to do. Lots of things to see. People are pretty nice.
Yeah,
it's pretty chill. It's like a beach. It's like a classier San Diego, like an upscale San Diego.
And at times, it almost feels like you're in America when you're there. Sometimes, like every now and then, it feels like you're still in America.
Spanish, a lot of Haitian French being spoken out there.
And we're some spoiled Southern California boys. You're like, oh, it's the beach and the weather's perfect and the chicks are hot. And it's like, yeah, that's what we, we're spoiled. Like that's what we know. But Miami, it's all true. It's all there. That's a very acceptable answer.
I told you my Miami story, right? About the cab driver, the Russian cab driver in Miami.
No, I don't think so.
I think I did. All right.
Probably wasn't interesting enough for me to remember. So I forgot.
So I get to Miami and my friend's like, hey man, there's a cool little outdoor mall called Lincoln Mall. It's open late, A lot of just bars and restaurants. Go check it out. All right, fine. Get down there. We call for a cab. This is before Uber and shit. We call for a cab, and this freaking Russian dude. It's Miami. It's like 80 degrees at night, and he's wearing a freaking turtleneck and a leather jacket, right? He picks us up. We jump in the cab, and we're just sitting there, and the guy's like real stoic, just like driving. And I'm like, hey, a lot of the chicks here got like nice butts. It's like, oh, yes, every girl's got the butt. You can't leave the house without the butt. Every girl's got a butt. I'm all, cool, man, cool. And he's like, yeah, my nephew, he turned 18 2 weeks ago. I take him to a titty bar. And I see this girl, and I say, you look like a nice girl from a good family. How much to have sex with my nephew? And she's like, $800. $800? I say, I fucked my nephew myself for $800. That was Yuri.
I feel like Miami's like Brazil, where you're just kind of like all the women are born with a squat rack.
God, dude.
And they're just thoroughbreds. Like from the waist down, they're just built like D tackles. It's beautiful.
It's an epidemic. Something in the water.
Can we just get something out of the way real fast?
Sure.
Like how terrible Raiders just
yeah, this was a really, really, really bad video. It just no excitement, no like pop,
creativity.
No creativity. Like I understand they want to use real employees and like family environment and look at this and look, hey, everyone get excited. But dude, where's like the production value?
I think that goes down to like, and I've been saying it as one of like the top 5 themes that I've had on this show has been like the Raiders are so ma and pa. And there's strengths to that. There's strengths and weaknesses to that. But you need both. You need a guy with a Harvard MBA. You need a lawyer from Yale. You need some of that to go with the ma and pa. Raiders are so ma and pa. They're like, let's just get, Susie the receptionist on the video. Let's, like, how about your fans? How about you do something that makes them happy? It makes you guys look good.
That kid's pretty dope.
It's like, oh, we have the schedule, and they throw the papers. Like, that's the entire video. You got the Titans.
Like, what is this bullshit?
It's nice you do get to see the Raiderettes. I will give you that. But you got like Nashville doing this like 1918 like single take all the way through a bar with celebrities.
Baby girl, what's your
name? God damn it, the Chargers crush it every year, which hurts me to say.
Like, they just look, man. It's just
great video every year.
Value. Where's like then you freaking put the aces? Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah,
it's like, come on, man. Like, I get it. I understand what they were going for. Like, famous fans, alums, once a Raider, always a Raider. Famous Raider fans up on top. Mm-hmm. Like, I get it, but there's no pop, dude. There's no pop to it.
Sad. It's embarrassing and sad.
It's just. You and I could have done that with our phone.
Yeah.
We could have filmed that on our phones.
Yeah. And this is the thing is like with the Raiders, it's like, again, there's such a loyal, like, what fan bases are really good at this? Or which franchises are really good at stuff like this? It's normally like newer franchises that are trying to get new fans, right? Jaguars or Chargers in a new market, things like that. Because the Raiders, there's such a diehard fan base and such a loyal fan base. They're just like, they get spoiled to it, And it's like, I don't want to make this Raiders social media like a bigger deal than it is, but it's indicative of that front office, the lack of creativity, just kind of Stone Age version of doing things. And the social media element is like a window of what's going on in that office.
Do you see that part where the guy was sitting there and the freaking pile of paper just smacked him in the face? No. He's looking up and the stack of paper just smacked him in the face. Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Or like a blooper reel. Give me like a blooper reel of the show. Like of that video, I bet you the blooper reel is better. The Athletic ranked all 32 teams, and the Raiders, want to guess where they were?
Dead last.
Dead last.
Yeah, it's with what can be done fairly quickly and easily by a professional. Again, that looks like we did it on our phone. Oh, hey, slow motion throwing papers in the air. Cool. Oh, you got Ice Cube. Cool. Oh, you got a couple of X-Raiders. You got Marcus Allen and Jim Plunkett. Cool. All right. I mean, where's the you know?
It looked cheap, like it was just like done in house. Like the producer that does like the pregame show, they're like, okay, we're gonna have like some, like 26-year-old producer that's like just getting started. They're like, okay, you're gonna do our like schedule release video.
I don't think it was a 26-year-old anything. I thought it was someone who's been there for a long time, just an older guy. Hey, look what I did. It's in slow motion. Like, what?
I discovered this new button on my editing on my editing software.
It just looked bad. It's just a bad look for us. It's just not a good look.
Yeah, it was a shame. So The Ringer did a feature on Davante Adams. I'm not very familiar with the author of it. And I think it's the first time that author's done something for The Ringer. Mirren, it's Myron Fader. But a decent little feature. Talked about Davante Adams and what I recommend you read it. Nothing mind-blowing, but the best receiver on the team, arguably the best receiver in football, and just kind of his mindset with how he got a chip on his shoulder because he's like, look, when I was in Green Bay, it was always, wow, Aaron Rodgers is so amazing. Like I just shattered the ankles with my route on this corner, and Aaron Rodgers throws me a touchdown pass, and he gets all the credit. And it's not that he's bitter, right? He talked about we're still friends, he's still great, but he's like, okay, and I was one of the on the spectrum of, Davante's disgruntled, that's why he's leaving. I went more the other way because I do understand running your course somewhere. Like of all the jobs I've had, I've been fired a few times. I've quit because I didn't like it. But there's been many jobs where it's like, I like my boss, I like what I do, the pay is fair. I just kind of feel like I've hit a little bit of a rut, or I feel like I'm not growing. Let me try something else. So I understand Davante Adams kind of being like that. So that's just a tease, because we're going to get into 3 statements that he made very specific to the Raiders that I care about the most, that we care about the most. We get to that. But first, Phil Robinson joins us next.
The third.
Joining us now, he's the host of the Unfiltered Truth, writer at Radio Ramble, and one hell of a model American. Phil Robinson, the third. Do you need to have the third? Do you like drive that third home, or is that just kind of like a fun little thing to add? I'm very curious because I'm RJ Clifford the second. I don't normally add it.
No, well, usually when you're the second, you go with Junior. Although my dad never did; he did the second too.
Yeah.
As I got to be, I would never ever say Phil Robinson the third until I got old and started writing, and it looks like I'm
distinguished,
squired. Excuse me, sir. My name is Phil Robinson the third.
I dig
it's true because like my full name is Randall John Clifford II, and so I feel like I sound like I'm a monocle salesman.
Yeah, you sound like.
So I gotta mix and match a little bit. But we're very much the same in a lot of ways, Phil. Both Raider guys, both combat sports writers. We're both seconds and thirds, and so we've been like circling each other for too long. And I'm glad we finally got you on here.
I'm happy to be here. I checked your show out. Love it. Love one on one. So and
lives, baby.
Yeah. It's too much. It's been a weird kind of thing going on, to be real with you, just as step aside from the task at hand, because Raider content creation has gone in a completely different direction than it was when I first got into this. And I enjoy being able to get together with people and talk about Raider football, because if we were in a bar, if we were at the fucking tailgate, if we were at the stadium with a game, what would we be doing? Drinking a beer, talking Raider football. That's what Raider Nation was supposed to be all about. At least it was when we were coming up, right? I mean, we're starting to get old, and these youngsters, I guess, are on some different shit. But we got to get back to the basics.
What are you seeing? What's changed? Because we're semi new. We're like 2.5 years into this.
2.5 years, yeah.
2.5 years into this. So we're Raider fans their whole lives, but new to the kind of like the Raider content creator stuff. Like what's changed since you've been gone?
It used to be a big together family, and now we got all kinds of people doing all kinds of things, and guys who should be getting together talking football on channels and co-producing, co-promoting, and just doing one big thing together. We're all split up, and everybody's mad at each other and all types of stuff. And I just kind of stay out of that stuff.
Yeah,
and it gets kind of lonely on the show.
Yeah,
it's rough, man. I get a lot of hate. My DMs are a little rough sometimes, but I like to kind of flame the passion a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're mad for a reason, right? It is, we all want the same thing. Just seems we just kind of want it a different way.
Right.
Ultimately, I don't care how we get it, as long as we get it.
Right.
Some people are a little bit more to the left, and they want what they want, how they want it, and they don't want it any other way. That's really where the kind of crossings I see.
I've convinced Soto with the fiery DMs. He just responds with a dick pic right away. Just shuts him down real fast. It's just like water on the flames. Problem solved. And he's had a smile ever since.
I have to watermark that because people try to pass it off as theirs. I'm like, listen, man, we all know that's mine.
It's my meat.
It's mine. Sorry.
That's me.
Yeah, he photoshops his face on the balls with his thumbs up, so they know that it's him.
Oh, that's a tattoo.
Like a fingerprint.
That's a tattoo. That's awesome. It'll be be one of those things I asked to see, and I can't actually imagine how you would know, but I'll let it go past and won't ask.
Perfect. Best you don't see.
So the draft picks are all starting to get signed here one by one. Off air, we were talking a little bit about the draft. Just kind of general thoughts on this draft class coming up, because it's the first time that Ziegler and McDaniels have had a full draft class that had a ton of picks. They traded up a couple times, so we lost two. A lot more offense than I thought we'd get with how bad our defense is. But overall, I think Soto gave it a B+. I gave it a B-. What were your general thoughts on this draft?
I was in the camp with you, RJ. I gave it a B-. Was it solid? Yes. Did it address problems that they had on the roster? Yes. It didn't address the problems that I thought that were more glaring problems on the roster, and it certainly didn't prepare them for the future in a lot of other places. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that I expected them to move heaven and earth to go down and get Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud or one of the top quarterbacks, and I'll be frank, I was overjoyed that they passed on Will Levis. Somehow, during the course of this draft, they managed to make me feel bad about not drafting Will Levis.
Go on. I'm curious, because I wouldn't have wanted Will Levis with our first pick or second. But I like him more than Soto and more than most. I didn't want to move heaven and earth to get him, but I liked him more. So I'm curious why you got there.
I didn't like him at all.
Okay,
and that's why. But when I looked at the quarterback that they did end up drafting, it was hard for me to believe, hard for me to stomach, and for all the quarterbacks that I'd rather that they had not drafted, Jake Haener was another one of them. I certainly would have preferred him over Aiden O'Connell.
Uh-oh. Because Soto and I are getting kind of high on Aiden O'Connell for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, he looks like Farva from Super Troopers.
That's the number one for me. That's number 1 and 2, I think.
Yeah, it really doesn't get better than that. Like, here, let me show you. Like, look at this. Look at that.
No, Jones has been putting that up all over the place.
I'm telling you. Give me a large Farva. I don't want a large Farva. We were the first. We were talking about this before he was drafted. We were eyeballing him. We're like, oh yeah, let's get Aiden O'Connell out of Purdue. Be perfect. Look at this guy. It's uncanny.
You can't help but laugh. You can't help but just kind of see the videos in the future. He gets into a game and you got Aiden O'Connell under center, and his lips are moving, and all you hear is, "I don't want a goddamn liter of cola."
Shenanigans? You're talking about shenanigans? Come on. But to be fair, Phil, like he's both kind of grown on us as an actual football player. What do you hate about him so much?
I'm like, what has he done?
He's led. he's had 2 very successful quarterback seasons throwing against some of the best in the Big Ten when he's got some of the worst of the Big Ten. Phil, he was throwing to white wide receivers. Like, he was primarily throwing to white guys against like Michigan State, Ohio State DBs and finding success.
So white people can't play wide receiver?
No, they can't.
I'll let RJ say all that stuff.
Not anymore. Not really. There's like 2 of them.
So I guess Hunter Renfrow went to the Pro Bowl for no reason?
He's one of the 2.
One of the 2.
And even Hunter Renfrow was nothing in college. Like, really, right? Like, he ate up Alabama in the national championship game, but like his first 100 receiving game of his lifetime.
Can you run that back? What did you say he did to the Alabama and where?
In the national championship game. He had like a pretty cool game. He had like a really good touchdown. Didn't even get 100 yards.
He won the game though, right?
He won the game. He was clutch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure.
So yeah, one of the 2 like good wide receivers out there. But Aiden O'Connell. Why do you hate him?
Adam Thielen's no good.
Not anymore.
He was good.
Not anymore.
He was pretty good.
Fell off. He definitely fell off. That's for sure. But anyway, I mean, look, he hasn't gotten close to winning his conference ever. He's not won the national championship. He's a statue. I think when me and Phil broke it down, I called this man a monument.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a statue, a monument. When he gets back to the top of the pocket, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
This is the wrong division for that. This is the wrong conference for that type of a quarterback.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems to me McDaniels was looking for another Brady-esque type player. Fast processor, accurate arm, quick release, not too mobile, but knows where to go with the football. The more I watch his tape, the more I see how he can succeed in this system specifically. I don't see him being the type of quarterback that can play in a lot of systems that are being run around the NFL. But in this system specifically, where you have a predetermined look off of a predetermined set that you see from the defense, I can see him being fairly successful with how accurate he is and how quick he gets rid of the ball. He's going to need a really good running game. He's going to need his line to protect him really well. And I mean, he has the playmakers to get on the ball or to get the ball to. He's starting to grow on me because of those 2 things.
And what are you expecting out of a 4th round quarterback too, right? Like, we're not expecting him to, if he turns into an NFL starter, that's way beyond projections for 4th round quarterback, right? Like, 4th round quarterback, you're hoping, all right, let's get a Saul backup, right? Like, he can come in, he can play, he can be a Saul backup for us. We'll develop him. When you're a 4th rounder, you're like, yeah, he's gonna definitely have some major issues, and mobility is clearly one of them. But on the plus side, like, fast release, because he's used to, Ohio State defensive ends running at him with the Purdue tackle who's there at 260 pounds because he's got working on his dual masters, right? He knows how to throw guys open because he's throwing to a shitty wide receiver who runs a 4.9 against a 1st-round pick DB out of Ohio State. I have to throw them open because they're not going to be open. They're not going to get separation. So, like, and that's all things that fill into Josh McDaniels. So, yeah, I'm with you. Like, if you're expecting Aiden O'Connell to come in and, like, all right, he's going to win the starting job mid-season and lead us to a Super Bowl, like, you got to keep your expectations under wraps a little bit. But, like, for a 4th rounder, I think he's got a lot.
Now, so I'll ask the 2 of you this question. At what point do you see him coming in and starting for this team?
Probably never. Never.
I don't know that he was drafted to be a starter.
Okay. Now, given Jimmy Garoppolo's injury history and Brian Hoyer's inability to beat out either any of the quarterbacks from New England, Bailey Zapp or Mac Jones, they don't want to play Chase Garbers. Otherwise, they left him on the practice squad and gave him no burn except for the preseason and the end of the preseason. Right now, he's looking at the 3rd guy in line to be the starter at quarterback with a 38-year-old backup and a guy who's injured almost every single year. The last time he played in this particular offense, it took him 2 games to be out for the season.
What I don't like, and you're right, but I think the error there was letting Jared Stidham go.
That's where I would have.
That's the error. Not so much drafting Aiden in this situation. It's letting Stidham go. What was he at a 2-year, maybe $10 million deal to be like a backup? It's already proven like he can play pretty good. That's the error. Aiden O'Connell was like trying to patch up a hole that they created. So I'm with you in that sense.
Is he a long-term starter, Aiden O'Connell? I don't think so, unless he drastically improves. Can he spot start? Can he finish a game, couple of quarters, 3 quarters for you? I think he can do that.
No, and as a spot starter, maybe. But again, I put that particular question. The reason why I asked is because if he's got to come in due to injury, he's starting the rest of the year.
Not necessarily, but he may.
If he's in, that means Garoppolo's either hurt or terrible. That means Brian Hoyer is either hurt or terrible. They decided not to go with Chase Garbers, or Chase Garbers was unable to get it done, and that leaves him and whatever guy they bring off the street.
Yeah. Well, I look at it from this perspective. How many teams out there are super pumped up about their backup quarterback? And you have to take a look at allocation of resources. When the previous regime leaves you basically almost nothing defensively, you have to find ways to save money, find ways to get cheaper, and spending less money on a backup player, even though it's an important position, you have to find, it's allocation of resources. So, yeah, I get it. It's not optimal, but a lot of things on this team aren't optimal, and they have to get fixed. Are they going to get fixed in 1 season, 2 seasons? Probably not. It's going to take a sustained approach, hopefully with the same regime moving in a good direction. But yeah, man, there's been some definite head scratchers in this draft.
And we're not even talking about the biggest reason that I'm pissed that we lost Jared Stidham. Have you seen his wife?
Bro, his wife is
her in the owner's box,
jumping up and down, and he was
gorgeous. Just gorgeous and classy, like classy Southern belle hot, not trashy, not like a lot of plastic surgery, just like a wholesome all-American girl.
Wholesome.
Yeah.
We're going to uphold the virtue of Mrs. Stidham.
Gonna miss her
at all costs.
What do you think the Raiders do with Josh Jacobs? He hasn't signed his franchise tag yet. They're trying to get an extension. What kind of trade value could we get with him if we don't want to pay him $10 million? Do you want to give him a big contract? Where are you at?
So they're at an interesting spot, and without going too far into what I've been told and can't talk about, they're at this point. They're trying. How's the best way to say this?
Just say the truth, Phil.
I could do that, but some things that I can't say for other reasons.
No, you can say it.
I know.
You have my permission.
Want me to say it? I would say that it's just more of a waiting game than anything. But the way things are shaping out, if I were in his position, I might be tempted to just take the $10 million.
If you're in his position,
yes.
Okay.
Because we can say all these wonderful things about Jimmy, but Jimmy's not bringing San Francisco's defense.
Yeah.
And Jimmy has got an injury history. Yep. And if Jimmy can't go the full season, then we are in dire straits. And that goes back into what Juan was talking about, with there's been some real head scratching moves made. And like I said, I there's a lot of moves that have been made that could have been made differently and been made in better ways. And so because they would be mismanagement moves, I'm not content to sit here and allow that to continue.
Okay. Where do you think the defense heads next season? Improvement, staying the same? Kind of hard to get worse. Where are you at?
The defense took a lot of shit. Early on, they were let's not say phenomenal. They were solid. Right. They were giving up less than 24 points a game for about 5-6 weeks. And then as the offense continued to tank, it eventually got them to fall down, and then injuries took over, and you didn't see the starting lineup but 5 weeks out of the entire season. All your starting linebackers ended the season on injured reserve. Chandler Jones gave you he had a decent showing at the end of the season, but for the first 12 games he gave you absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And the defensive line, the defensive interior, it continues to be a soft spot. And one of these days they'll decide to pony up the cash and pay a guy to play what they need to pay him. Now they drafted Byron Young. I look at his film. His film is good. He definitely has the opportunity to come in and challenge to be the starter. At 295, he's a little bit on the lighter side, but he can put on some weight, or he could lose it and just be faster and quicker and use the strength that he has in order to shoot gaps, which he does pretty well. And then you look at Tyree Wilson. I think now the addition of Rob Leonard is where I think that's going to make that a great little chess piece that we wouldn't ordinarily think that highly of. I mean, I look at his game and I see good high motor, big kid. He's not just a hellhound coming off the edge, but he's running through blockers. Now I look at the conference that he was in, and I look at the teams that he played and said, okay, well, if he comes up against NFL guards and tackles, is he going to have the same effect? He's big. He's 6'6", 275, and I think he could easily put on another 15 pounds to get to 290 and just be a menace.
Yeah, that's one thing I was looking at when we were talking about the draft picks. There's definitely a model that they're looking for. Long, tall defensive ends. And the knock on Wilson was that he doesn't have a lot of moves defensively. But, I mean, you couldn't ask for better guys that are kind of built from your same mold, high energy, longer guy for him. So, I mean, I could see him definitely making some noise.
He's like you on the dance floor, Soto. A natural.
Yeah.
Just hasn't developed the moves yet.
Excuse me, sir. I have moves. I don't know what
you do the dice thing too much.
That's somebody else.
What movie is that from? Let us know in the comment section. He's doing the dice thing too much. It's all he's got.
It's all he's got. Look, I mean, my big thing in the draft, I feel we could have gotten Young later. I feel we probably could have gotten Tucker later. I think maybe a linebacker at 70 would have been nice. We had a couple that were available that would have been pretty nice. I mean, that's just what I was looking at when I saw how everything fell. I understand why they picked Young. I understand what they're looking for. I understand the model of what they're looking for. They're looking for stout, long-armed, heavy punchers who can set and shed, and that's what they're looking for. Let me dominate this gap. Let me dominate these two gaps, interior, and with Silvera too. He's a very similar type of player, but I just felt he could have been available a little bit later. I don't know. Linebacker at 70 probably would have been a little bit more sense to me, I think.
Definitely would have been taking a linebacker instead of Tucker. And while I looked at Michael Mayer and I can truly applaud that pick, it was a good pick. That would have been another opportunity that I would have used to have gone in a different direction. Now the tight end hole was something that they've signed a couple guys for, and there were some larger issues on the defensive side at linebacker, among others, linebacker corner, that you could have done something else with. Now they ended up getting Jacorian Bennett, and I love that pick. That's a great pick. So I'm not going to get too bent out of shape about the corners. And they added Christopher Smith, and you saw the article, RJ. Obviously, I'm raving about the kid. I went back and watched his film, and he was everything that I thought Trayvon Morgan was supposed to be.
He didn't play 4.6, I'll tell you that. He didn't look 4.6 on tape.
Nope. And I asked Jones this. I was like, when have you ever seen this guy get beat over the top? I'm watching this tape and I still haven't seen it.
He seems always to be in the right place. He's always by the ball. Even when he's off camera, whenever there's a tackle made, he's always right there. He just seems like a really smart, heady player who understands route concepts, who understands what's happening. He understands what the offense is trying to do. And he just seems to always be there. I think it's a great pick. I love the Jacorian Bennett. It's kind of like that tall, long, that high-waisted type of speedster guy. If he could have catch, he would have had triple the amount of interceptions in college. He dropped a bunch of, but I mean, pass breakups. All you can really ask for a lot of times is to tap the ball in the air, and he could definitely get his hands on balls. It's an iffy thing. Hey, man, not like that. Hands on the football.
Tap on the ball.
Well,
tap.
You're worse than RJ, man. RJ's worse.
You're the one that said it.
I got to deal with RJ. I got to deal with this.
Just got a wide foot. I think he got both of them.
He got it.
Yeah. The secondary, I would have liked to go. I would have done like a Corey Trice with our last pick. We had that, a long, maybe not as fast, but productive long corner that was available that got, was an undrafted free agent. I think that Nestor J. Silvero would have been there as an undrafted free agent because of his ties with Antonio Pierce. I think we could have gotten him in as an undrafted. I would have liked to have. There was a few corners, and that's what I did in the pre-draft show. I really highlighted a lot of corners late that are kind of fit the mold, who maybe have one thing here or there that might have scared some teams off. And I don't know. I would have myself rather have liked to maybe get one of those corners with our last pick, but whatever. I'm not the GM for a reason, I guess.
Because you're tapping too many balls. The HR department's gonna be all over you.
Well, that's how you're an explosive player.
Right. All up in the balls.
True or false? Hunter Renfrow finishes this season as a Raider.
False. I don't think he starts this season as a Raider.
No. Where's he going? And what are we gonna get?
I'm hoping they goes Baltimore and they get Patrick Queen back.
Okay. You like that move?
Huh?
You like that move?
I think that they brought in Tucker for a reason, and he's got a concussion-ish injury history. I heard there were some times in the season that he had blank spots in the memory. I haven't talked to him directly, so I don't know that to be true, nor have I talked to his doctor. Let me just say that now. But I've heard from people who would know.
Oh, now you can talk about your sources. Perfect.
Hey, man.
We'll take it. We'll take it when we can.
Us bits and pieces that he can, bro.
Little tidbits, little salt base. I know you cover mixed martial arts as well, so we'll end it with an MMA one. Mm-hmm. Best fight currently booked in the UFC. Like, it hasn't happened yet, but like on the schedule. What's your favorite fight right now?
I think it's Poirier versus Gaethje.
That's the only correct answer. There is no other answer that is the correct answer. It was a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
That fight's so awesome. Just pure liquid violence. I would snort it if I could.
So for on my channel, my guy Cade has actually got an interview coming up with these boys tomorrow that he's gonna drop. He's gonna drop the recording, and it'll be up on the Combat Lounge. So I will retweet it when it is aired live.
Well, you guys can follow that tweet by following Phil Robinson on Twitter at Phil Robinson III. That's 3 I's all in a row. Phil with a PH. Robinson. Host of The Unfiltered Truth and writer at Rainbow Raider Ramble. Phil, glad we finally got this going. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks a lot.
No problem.
All right. Thank you, Phil. Really appreciate you coming on. Look forward to doing Phil's show as well. Next time we come around.
It'll be fun.
So as we teased earlier, Davante Adams did a semi in-depth interview with The Ringer. And there's a lot of stuff, like the main core of it was like, he's like trying to find himself and, he's in his 10th year. This is when wide receivers generally start to slow down. How can he keep being better and better and all this kind of stuff? But we care about the Raider stuff. We don't care about him as a person. We care about him as a Raider because we're sociopaths here at the Autumn Windbags. We want W's. We don't care about who you are as a person. We want W's. And he can obviously get us those, being as good as arguably the best wide receiver in football. 3 quotes and 1 word that really stuck with us. First one. This is Davante from the interview. I'm going to have to buy into this and try to be as optimistic as possible. It's not what I expected to happen, but it's something that's the reality now. That doesn't sound like someone who's excited for the season. That doesn't sound like someone who's expecting to do big things. That sounds like somebody that's trying to put a smiley face on a bad situation. Soto.
Yeah, I don't know, and I'm going to be picky here. I don't know that it's necessarily a bad situation. I just think it's something that he wasn't expecting. I don't know that he expected to come to the Raiders and have the guy he wanted to play with have a season that unfolded the way that it did. And I don't know that he was expecting him not to be here the second year.
In 15 years, he's had exactly 2 quarterbacks throw to him. Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers, right? College, 9 years at Green Bay, 1 year in the Raiders with Derek Carr. That's it. 15 years, basically, right? Some backups and shit, but basically 15 years, 2 quarterbacks thrown to him. And now he's got Jimmy Garoppolo. What I buy into that is I think he expected something different at quarterback. I bet you he had like a list of quarterbacks that he wanted. It's like, all right, we're moving on from Carr. Okay, you guys are doing what's best. I don't like it, but I'm a professional. Let's move on, right? How are we going to move on? I can't imagine Jimmy Garoppolo was on that list. I don't know. And I think that's kind of like, okay, this is my quarterback has basically been either my best friend or a 4-time NFL MVP. And now it's not that. So he's like, okay, that's the situation.
The thing is, look, Davante Adams is a professional.
Yeah.
He's going to put, just like he said, I'm going to have to buy into this. Buying in isn't being okay. Buying in isn't saying all right. Buying in is saying, oh, right, okay, this is it. We're going to make this happen. You're
shoving your chips in the middle. I'm shoving my chips in the middle.
Let's go. We're all in together. We're putting our bodies on the line. We're putting our safety on the line. We're putting our legacies. We're putting everything on the line. We're all in 100%. So I have no doubt in my mind that once everything starts rolling, he's going to be locked in.
And he has to be, because that leads on to his next quote that we liked. This is Davante. The front office think this is the best bet for us right now to put us in a position to be urgent. We don't see eye to eye on what we think is best for us right now. So he, again, like I said, he's in his 10th year. He's in a winish nowish mode, right? I don't think he came here looking to be part of a 4-year, 5-year rebuild.
He even said so. He's not here for a rebuild. He's
not here
to win.
Right?
Now, but here's the thing. Let's be fair. Looking at this team, you can't tell me that he thought this team was a year or 2 away from being a Super Bowl contender.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Honestly.
You add Davante Adams to a team that went to the playoffs. Maybe, you start to think that could be it. If you're really high on Josh McDaniels coming in, right? But prior to this last season, right, when we went 6-11, I think he thought there was something special brewing with the Raiders. I think he thought there was something like there's a spark here that we can work on.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Look, there's a reason why half the teams in the NFL don't repeat as playoff teams. A lot of circumstances fall in to help teams make the playoffs that don't fall into the line next year. And I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just reading it wrong. I just don't think – I understand that he wants to win and he has a short window to win. I think it was very important for him to show that he can be that dude without Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he made, all pro is something that he was like really pumped up about. You can in the rest of the article, you can read that he was super excited about that. But that was more so for himself to prove, it wasn't just Aaron Rodgers because he's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was throwing to Davante Adams too.
Yeah.
Now, what happened when he didn't have Davante Adams? He didn't look too good, right? He got better as the season went along, but Rodgers didn't look as good as he did with Davante Adams. So I get that part. I don't think that things are going to be as rigid as they're made out to be right now. I think right now they're saying this is the game plan. This is what we want to get done. Da, 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 until the games happen, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone has a plan until they get hit in the face. Until okay, we need to get the ball to Davante, and then they'll force feed him the ball. I really do think that's going to happen. He's the best player on your team.
That was the feeling right when he first came, and we were hearing all the right things out of Josh McDaniels of how he's going to his players, going to the veterans, going to the Pro Bowlers. What do you think? How can I help you? Let's learn from each other. Like I can learn from you, you can learn from me. Let's do this, right? I'm getting the vibe, not that he's upset. I think that's the element to this that I think he feels like he's not getting is I was told I was given input, but it feels like lip service. There's like a general vibe to what he's saying when it comes to the Raiders. I think, again, not that he's going to sabotage it or not play well or he's unhappy. It's just like, I thought what I said would have meant more. And I don't think, I don't think he feels like that's been done to the fullest.
Yeah. And, look, ultimately he has his opinions. He has, his views on things because he is that special a player, right? Mm-hmm. But with a wide receiver having the most yards ever for a Raider and for the leading rusher in the NFL to be on your team and you're still not in the top 10 in scoring, maybe that's not the best way to do things. Maybe it's a different way is needed to be able to score more points. Because ultimately that's what you want to do. You want to score the most points, right? So I see it from both perspectives. I don't think any perspective is wrong, but I do think that when it gets to crunch time, you need a big play, you're going to draw something up for Davante.
Those first two quotes kind of felt a little bit of venting from Davante. He's like, look, I don't do a lot of interviews. This is me kind of getting stuff off my chest. And then he kind of wraps it up more or less with this statement. We'll get to the word that it's blowing your skirt up, Soto, but I think he kind of wraps up his feelings with this last one. This is Davante Adams. My goal is to win a Super Bowl with this team. And that's why I didn't come here to just be cute with Derek Carr, is to really try and have a shot and change this organization. That's what Derek Carr always said, right? He's like, I want to win a Super Bowl. I want to win it here. I want to change this thing. Didn't work out. He got forced out. But I think that's just kind of like, look, here's me venting. Here's my goal. Here's me venting. Let me get this off my chest. A little kind of like lay on the psychiatrist's couch for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Then you get up and you say this before you walk out the door. I'm here to change this organization and win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's like I was talking with Phil. We all want the same thing as Raiders fans. Some of us want it a different way than others. The more sensible fans don't care how we get it as long as we get it. Some of the more stubborn kind of, up their ass fans want what they want, how they want it, and they don't want it any other way. Well, I don't think Davante Adams is one of those guys. I think he'll take winning even if it's not the way he would have done things.
He had his second best season ever in the Randy Moss role of a Josh McDaniels offense. Like he's not even playing his best role and still crushed it. Like that's how good he is. He's like, want me in the slot, want me outside, want me to be a speedster, want me whatever you want. I'm Davante fucking Adams. I'll do it.
I can do it all.
I can do it. You can. For now.
But his first, admittedly not an easy system to learn. In his first season in it, he was an all-pro. Yeah. Not a Pro Bowler, which I poo-poo all the time. An all-pro.
Did he have it? He had the second most receiving touchdowns or the most receiving touchdowns in football? I think it was
second most receiving touchdowns.
Second most. I think I remember that stuff. We have so many Raiders with so many great records. Sure. Yeah. Anything else from that interview that stuck up your craw?
Just one thing. He said, talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, if we play a certain brand of ball, I can get Garoppolo to conform to whatever. But if you use him a certain type of way, then it's going to make it tough for us to maximize who we should be this year. The word conform, you have to conform to me. I need to get Garoppolo to conform to what I want to do. Again, it could be just venting because that's how he would prefer to play, which I think is more outside the numbers, deep fades, maybe some back shoulder throws. That's not Garoppolo. That's not what he does. He's in between the seams, over the middle. He's that type of guy. He's a timing guy. Now, Davante Adams can shred you that way, especially if he really beats a corner off the line. He can get 20, 30 yards just as simple on a slant route. Yeah. But I don't know that that's necessarily how he wants to play the game. I think he likes to have the deep ball. Now, maybe him and Garoppolo can get together and mix some stuff in. I don't see where what I saw last year was a lot more deep throws than Josh McDaniels normally calls in his system. A lot more. Just like when he had Randy Moss, a lot more deep stuff than they normally did without him. Maybe because of the personnel, right? I see there being more of a mix than maybe even what Davante Adams is letting on, but that's going to remain to be seen when we see the ball.
I think this is also Davante Adams planting the seed with like his first two elements of feeling like he's not being heard. He was told he was going to be heard, and I think he feels like he's not. So, for instance, if they're in shorts and helmets, it's OTAs or early preseason or something, and there's a pass play, right? There's a throw. Slant, fade, out, pick one. And Jimmy Garoppolo goes, well, I normally throw this pattern this way. And Josh McDaniels says, well, in my system, normally you throw it this way. And then Davante Adams says, well, in this pattern, I like to receive it here. I think he wants that to be a committee as opposed to being told how it's supposed to be done. I that's what I'm getting out of this interview is like, look, I want to sit at this table. I'm the all-pro, arguably the best player on this team, right? It's either me, Max, or Carlson, right? We're the best players on this team.
You said Carlson, right?
Yeah, kicker. I want to sit at that table. And Davante is better than Jimmy G. He should get that, right? Like he trumps Jimmy G as far as what he's done.
I mean, Jimmy G's not stupid, dude. He's gonna be like, Davante, where do you want the ball, dude? Tell me how you like it.
But this is the other part. Is Jimmy G good enough to be able to just change it? Like I've thrown this pattern, this pass this way. Is he good enough to change it? Because that's what Davante.
I don't think it's that big of an issue. I think if he understands how Davante likes or where Davante likes the ball, I think he'll be fine.
Okay.
I really do. I don't think it's that big of a change. I think philosophically there can be more of a meshing of what they're trying to do. Because honestly, I think they went deep almost too many times. Remember the second half against Jacksonville? They were throwing these fades to Davante when he was nowhere near wide open or open at all. And there's a time can come where you need to have a little bit more variety in what you're trying to do, especially, route combination wise. So I can see there definitely being, I don't think it's going to be as big an issue as maybe some are making it out to be. I think more so this was like you said, it was more of a, hey, don't forget about me. I'm the all pro type of thing. I need to have some input as well. I think that's more what he was trying to do here.
In Raider news, moving on to the headlines of the day. Damon Arnette back in the news. Our old buddy from Ohio State. Ex-Raider Damon Arnette indicted in 2022 confrontation on strip. So when I saw the headline, Damon Arnette indicted, I was like, oh, that like gun thing that got him kicked off the team. I thought those charges were dropped. Oh, they must, I guess I must have read it wrong. I forgot. No. This is something completely different. This is another thing. Those charges were dropped and he's found his way back in trouble again.
I don't know, man. I don't have anything to say to this.
It's when we look at players in the draft and we're kind of like, oh, he got arrested or he had this DUI when he was 19 or he had this problem 2 years ago. It's players like Damon Arnette that makes you second guess because so many of those players that like you screw up when you're 19, right? You're a superhero in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or these small towns. Like you're like Tom Brady in New York, right? In these small towns, and you're a big time football player. It's not hard to find trouble, right? It's not hard to feel like you're bigger than everything, especially at that age. Young, dumb, full of cum, 19, athlete, right? So like, look, kids make mistakes sometimes. We think we have a program that can get them turned around and focused, right? That's painting with broad strokes. That's how I look at college football players that have like one problem, not like 3 arrests, but like, okay, they got a DUI 2 years ago. You know, that I've never had one. That could have happened to me. I'm not proud of it, but like I could have been unlucky enough that, you know, the time I drove, I could have gotten pulled over and rolled. I'm sure, you know, you're in the same boat. It could have happened to both of us, right?
Yep.
Either been lucky or smart or whatever. So I say, okay, you know. But then there's the Damon Arnettes of the world, where it's just screw up after screw up after screw up after screw up, and just own goals. Like, you had to threaten someone's life on Instagram Live.
Like how many rental cars did he crash in a month? Like
that. Like, it's not like wrong place, wrong time. Someone like attacked your girlfriend and you hit them and they got really hurt. It wasn't even like, it's just like own goals, just like self-owned.
Yeah,
it's the Damon Arnett's of the world that make all these GMs and scouts be like, no, if he slips, let him slip to the second round. We're not going to take that risk on it.
Well, the thing too is if you're gonna take a guy that has some issues coming in, you have to have a tight monitor on him. You have to have a tight leash on him. And Gruden and Mayock didn't have that.
Ankle brace, ankle monitor.
I mean, something, man. They just didn't have that.
In other news, coming from Adam Schefter, NFL legend Tom Brady is in deep discussions to become a limited partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Sources tell ESPN Seth Wickerman and me, Adam Schefter, potentially a second foray into a partnership with Raiders owner Mark Davis on a professional sports franchise in less than 2 months. So that could mean a lot of things. Limited partner. It's not like he's going to have like ownership rules and like trumping Mark Davis on anything. But I look at it more as kind of like a mascot that kind of skims money off the top a little bit, right? That would basically be his role. Not like decision-making abilities. Not like he has an office there and he's like got a secretary and, you know, pushing papers. But kind of like a mascot that gets a little bit of the profit. What do you think, Soto?
How's that going to work with his broadcasting? Can he be a broadcaster and have points on a team?
Fox has already said that they're okay with that.
Okay. I mean, it's a business transaction. You have somebody who has wide appeal in the sport. You know, can it be something of a, you know, culture building type of thing? Who is he going to be? You know, how involved or how present is he going to be? Who knows? He has part of the Aces, right? Is that what it was?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think it's just like you said, an influx of cash for a little, you know, for a little bit. It's an investment. That's all it is.
He has a piece of the UFC, and I think he has a piece of like, yeah. So he's like, you know, part of the endeavor. They brought in like Marky Mark, Tom Brady, a group of celebrities. It's how you package these little like celebrity packages. If you're in any sort of entertainment company or any place where you want social media traction or anything like that, you're like, hey, you like this sport, you're a celebrity, let's tie you in. So you'll show up on the celeb cam, you'll retweet on social media, that kind of stuff, right? It's like it'd be something like that, where he's just like, look, we're attaching his brand with very light Velcro to the bottom left corner of the silver and black logo. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense.
Ready to do some What Up Windbags?
Yes, sir.
From you guys in the YouTube comment section, chime in anytime. You can make What Up Windbags. Ooh, hope the fame doesn't go to your head. Cedric Moore, Chiefs on Christmas. I'm converting to Jehovah's Witness.
I read that. Ced's a good dude, man. He's always sending love. Yeah.
I want to be optimistic, right? Like, we're going 17-0 next season, right? You see that schedule and you're like, win. Chiefs, kind of a thorn in our side, a little bit of a thorn in our side, a little bit of a thorn in the AFC, a little bit. What are we doing on Christmas, dude? Like, it's the morning game.
I know.
Are we doing a show right after? Is it gonna ruin Christmas?
I won't let it ruin my Christmas.
You want to let it? Okay. What if we lose 40-0? Does it ruin your Christmas?
If we lose 40-0, I think we'd have to be playing poorly leading up to that game. So I'm already focusing on like us not having a good showing.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna let it ruin my Christmas, man. I'm not gonna do that.
Really?
I wouldn't let it do that.
All right.
No.
I'm gonna mark this down. No matter what happens in Chiefs Raiders on Christmas Day, 10 a.m. West Coast, 1 o'clock East Coast, you're not gonna let it ruin your day. I'm proud of you for saying that. I hope it's true. Spivey. I like when the Raiders play Mexico City. Another home game. So good news, no international games this season for the Raiders, which is rare. I mean, now that we're in Allegiant Stadium, that thing's just like making money gangbusters. It'd be stupid for the Raiders to lose. Yeah, to lose. It'd be stupid for the NFL to lose one of those giant moneymakers and put them on the road.
Plus, I think the Super Bowl's in Vegas next year. So
yeah.
I think, was it 4 out of the 5 primetime games are at home?
Mm-hmm.
So they really want to highlight the stadium.
Let's get those HD 4K cameras on Allegiant Stadium, right?
Do it.
But this is the thing, like Raiders play Mexico City, another home game. It normally was a home game when the Raiders traveled to Mexico City. So it wasn't like we added a home game. It was like one more travel day and home game, but not a real home game.
And a higher altitude than freaking Denver.
Higher altitude and the smog is through the roof. Have you ever been to Mexico City?
Yeah.
It's atrocious. Like it's altitude plus smog. At least Denver is like clear mountain air, even though it's thin as a Friends actress. But Mexico City, you're just like, it's like you're chain smoking on an elliptical in elevation.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. It's a rough situation out there.
UA 59. This was on a solo video I did talking about how Mark Davis is saying like, oh, I didn't hire Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler to do Patriots West. So had them do themselves. And my point was, well, that's all they know really is the Patriot way, and you do what you know. The comment from UA 59. I disagree. They are doing things their own way. To me, that's doing things the right way, not the Patriot way. If that's how you see it, cool. But to me, it's common sense football, which we have lacked for so long. It could be Patriots way, Chiefs way, or whoever, as long as it isn't the clown shit we have been doing. I didn't say it was good or bad that they're doing the Patriot way. I'm saying the point of that video was you do what you know. Like when we started doing this podcast, like I'm a radio host. I've been a radio host for 15 years. This is what I know. And so we build this show kind of like a radio show a little bit, right? It has a radio show feel to it because that's what I know. And of course I can evolve, and Soto's evolving. We're making the show as better as we can. And I'm not stuck in my radio show ways and we're only going to do it that way. We're going to try to make it better. But I have a foundation of how I do shows. And that's what I brought here. And that's what I was saying about Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. If Mark Davis is like, well, they're going to be completely different than they were at the Patriots, it's like they only know the Patriot way. Hopefully they get better and they evolve and they according to the roster, and they don't have Belichick and they don't have Kraft. Like, hopefully that's the case. But to be like, oh yeah, they're going to come here and completely change who they are, it's not realistic.
That's not who you hired them to be. You hired them to be themselves. Yeah. I mean, look, again, it's like UA 59 said, it could be the Patriots way, the Chiefs way, the Eagles way. It's just smart.
Be the Raider 8 way.
Office.
Fucking win.
Yeah, just win. That's what it's all about.
Label it whatever you want. Get those W's. So again, I'll be traveling next week, so we'll have to figure out. You may be learning how to do YouTube on the back end. Programmer Juan Soto next season.
Yeah, we'll see.
Week. We'll see. But until then, knock on wood if you're with me. Hey, you made it to the end of our video. Great job. I know you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you're feeling crazy, go ahead and subscribe.